Hands are considered to be one of the hardest things to draw, so I drew 100 of them. I'm a landscape painter, so why would I draw hands? Well, I just like drawing them, and they seemed like fun. I was starting to draw a few. I'm like, you know what? Draw 100 of these. And I did. I'm going to go over the ones that I did in the order that I did them. I might leave a few here and there out that I just couldn't find or didn't put in. So without further ado, let's go over the hands that I drew. So these were my original sketches that I was breaking down. So I was just kind of like drawing out different shapes that I saw with inside the hand to simplify it, because that's a good way to break things down. So I started doing that with these studies where I drew some from imagination and then I drew some with reference, kind of mixed in between, but the references I have are on the screen. And then I went and tried to do it again, so my hands were slightly better. And I did redraw some of them, and then I was just drawing some more on my own. I like drawing hands. This is kind of around the time where I decided I want to draw 100 of these. Try to do this hand. This one I drew several times, and it's just a failure. But I learned something each time, that drawing hands are hard. Right now I'm moving on to some more like hands doing different things. Like this one's holding a ring. This one's doing like some different hand symbol. Kind of a weird like phone call type thing, but sideways. This one's reaching up. This one's in a fist. A couple other random ones that I did. These ones were meant to be fast and loose, but they don't look very good. Right, now we're getting into, this was in October, so there's a big jump. It's like about 9 days since I worked on this, since I worked on drawing 100 hands. But I got back into it, and my hands actually came out pretty good. Some of them were a little rough. I wanted to mess around with perspective with this one, and then maybe have one playing like a guitar, but that finger looked really messed up. But some of these looser looking ones look nice. Then there's some more in October. I did a good chunk here. Some hands just doing stuff. Some more basic hands as well. Just different angles and poses. And I think that helps a lot, just trying to understand it in different angles. Now we're jumping to November. And this is, I think I did most of my drawings in November. Same pose, but just the other angle of it. This one, I was really happy with these drawings. And I was improving at hands. Even though I had some breaks here and there, I was seeing improvements here a lot. I also spent more time on them as well, to really focus on getting some of the details. The fingernails are probably one of the hardest things to get right, even though they're just such a tiny little detail. But these hands are really nice. They're starting to come together. Then I'm doing more hand gestures, like the OK sign, thumbs up, thumbs down. I might be able to extrapolate those as an asset. Some hands. This kind of looks like they're going in for a high five. Little finger guns are kind of funny. And I think my quality is starting to be a little more consistent here. Have time lapse, because I started to record them at this point. I think I'm about at like 60 hands through. These ones I added some value to, because that's important if you're going to paint them. Mostly I've been drawing them for now, but I really like the different values I was getting on here. It really helps sell the three-dimensionality of it. Then back to some just more hand sketches of them. This one's kind of pointing. This one's grabbing a knife between its fingers, which I wouldn't recommend doing. And one holding some fruit. And these ones I'm starting to really like when I'm drawing them, but also putting in a little more details like veins. Some hands you don't see them as well. Some hands are more pronounced. This one was okay with the values. Still kind of messy in my drawings. The more value studies, these ones kind of lacked a little bit of quality. I think I was rushing them a little bit. And I started to paint some. I really like the OK sign. I see problems with this already, but I think it looked pretty good. I was trying to be detailed as I could, be as much detailed as possible. I probably spent an hour on this, but there is definitely some rough edges that it could use some cleaning up. Then try to do some more detail with just the line drawings as well, like this hand in the middle a lot. When holding the gun, even though I messed up drawing the gun, but that's not what it's about. It's about drawing hands. And then this one with well, I guess it's a handgun, but I just find these really funny. You can just imagine like the wizards like shooting little lasers or lightning bolts out or fireballs out of their hand. Now I moved on to some master studies. These were studies of John Singer Sargent. He had some really nice anatomy. Did some studies of these, and I did some line studies. I started out by doing some line sketches, and then I went in with color and just rendered the crap out of it. Even though there's still a lot of issues I see, something I learned is you didn't have to be as detailed but just play around with colors to add more of a realistic look to it or give it more life. And then I was trying to come up with ideas for different illustrations and stuff. So I drew a few more hands. I had reference for these as well, I'm pretty sure. I just find using reference is like the most useful thing you can do. I wanted to end this off by painting some hands. And here, I was trying to play around with color. I had a reference. I had some reference for this water too. I was trying to make this water kind of glowing and coming up. I think this thumb and this finger look kind of funny, kind of off. But I was happy with how this rough painting came out. Then I did another one where I have a hand holding like an amulet. My idea was to kind of maybe have this amulet glowing. Like there's like fire inside of it. That's kind of a cool idea. Give it a little story to it as well. So I drew a few of my original paintings, and I wanted to draw another one. You didn't think I was going to draw landscapes. Well, I am. I wanted to incorporate the skills I learned drawing hands. And to be fair, this painting doesn't have a lot of hands in it. It only has 2, but I wanted to incorporate it with my landscapes. I thought it would be kind of a fun combination of different skills that I had and combined it into one. So I started out by just sketching some hands holding a sphere. My idea was it was holding like a sphere of land or mountains. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea of having like these giant hands holding up mountains basically and like a sphere coming up above the clouds and other mountain peaks, which I will draw later. But I started coloring it in, trying to figure out the light source coming from the upper side, upper right, which I think I do flip it in the end to go the other way. Just going in, adjusting the proportions, going back and forth. The hands are really a pain in this. Like, I thought it would be a lot easier making them, taking a reference and then painting it, but also with something else going on in it. I did a little bit with that amulet one, but this is like interacting directly with part of the land. And I really like how this, most of this came out. It is mostly, there isn't really any trees, it's just kind of rock and some grass, maybe some small, there's trees, but there's not really details on them. I like the lighting in this one a lot, where you had kind of the yellows coming from where the light source was, and then kind of more greens and blues in the darker areas. And little mixes of touches of other colors here and there. Make it more visually interesting to look at. I tried doing different waterfalls and stuff around here. Another hard part was like the landscape, the mountains underneath the hands were kind of tricky. I just painted over them back and forth quite a bit. And if I did go back and work on it, that would probably be the main part that I work on. There's always like something I see after I finish this. I'm like, oh man, I wish I did that. But if I keep doing that, the video's never going to come out. And the painting's never going to be done. So if I want to, I'll go back on my own time and do that. For the video, this is what we're getting. And then I stretch it out a little bit right at the end, and just to fill it in and make it more centered and touch it up a little bit, and then I'm done. Sign it, and I'm done. Hopefully I will be able to do more stuff like this with hands or other things incorporated into my landscapes that you wouldn't normally see in a landscape. It's a little surreal. Learning to draw something outside of your comfort zone will push you to grow and learn way faster. So drawing 100 of them was definitely out of my comfort zone. Maybe one was in my comfort zone. Drawing to 100 takes a long time. Part of it, the mental part, is just coming back to it and working on it. I improved at several things like proportions, construction of forms, and building up my observation skills. For as long as this project took, I was glad I did it. And until next time, Daragon out.